and I'm going to work on it, and I have nobody
these things again, you're like, oh wow.
that the Rebbe, that
I put this on too.
I should,
Oh, is it a color?
yeah, either zoom in more or
Oh my gosh.
bring the framing in a little bit more, so it's not so much.
Yeah.
That's what you do. Comments about
Very
the sound's off.
Sounds off, really? Because the sound is like,
I didn't
It's
notice
very
that.
I
good.
always
Yeah,
get
look.
complaints if the sound's not working. Like, I didn't know.
The
that.
world love.
And
Oh, so
I'm always like, that's why at least the mic is, now we're live, by the way.
Wow.
So anything we say can be, but no, the mic, that's the reason that the secondary mic is sometimes doesn't pick up the,
Oh, it's scary. Fish nowadays, whatever, we don't even know there.
yeah, just replace it just in case. Once the battery starts to get once every 3 quarters. It lasts. We have 2 rechargeable. There used to be 4 of them. That was only 2 of them. I don't know whether it's 1. I don't know who will want them.
In the closet, you have a little charger there.
In downstairs, where I keep everything. Yeah, everything. I just charge the batteries. So, yeah. All right. So I survived.
But I'm just saying, you know.
Oh, so it's going to be a longer stretch. But where are you going to be? Can you call in? Or you don't
Yeah, I do this.
Oh, you do? It's not the same thing. You got it, obviously, right?
It's not bad, but
Oh.
it's like watching a Broadway show on TV. You know, you just don't get the.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
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 I like being in a Broadway show when they like kick their legs right into your face.
Oh, what's that? Oh God. This wasn't Broadway. This was like off Broadway. We ended up getting like really good seats. Like TVF. It was crazy. TVF. We got really good seats. And it was like in the front row. And in the middle of the show, my stomach started rumbling. I'm like, oh my God, I hope I'm just
Once we also got really good seats on TKTS, and they like spit. It like was hitting us in the first row.
Oh my God. No, so it's a little
There should be
intense.
like a
the first
shield.
row. I mean, the first row is a little intense because you feel like I'm looking like a little too closely. Like,
No, but Zoom is definitely a plus.
but Baruch Hashem, right? Because then you can at least.
One of the few good things that came out of COVID.
Right, yeah.
Actually, I think it was around before, but it wasn't.
It wasn't hot out, yeah. I mean, each college, by the time we started, always had like a call-in number.
Yeah.
But it wasn't Zoom, you couldn't see it, it was just calling. We tried doing it once though, at home, and every time we got to like an important part, a plane would go over and we couldn't hear. It was so frustrating.
Queens gets what, LaGuardia?
Yeah, we're pretty close to the garden.
So I got the press for a second. I was like, I'm not going to show. I'm joking.
So you were planning on coming either way, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I don't think Jay's going to be around after, but I will be.
Okay.
And when you sit too close, moving your shoulders.
Oh, it's like this.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not. It's not. No, the first time I thought like, oh wow, score. And I was like, no. Especially if it was like, but then we have the thing where it's short or petite. So if somebody tall.
Oh, yeah. Or one of those big cowboy hats.
You have to like walk around it.
Where are you?
Not that you could do it before the video.
Why? It's a special job or something? So everybody wants to go back.
Could hear my
Right, good. That's a good thing. You showed me a video from last night you were playing. So nice. Where did that take place? Whose place? Okay. Very nice. Who else is playing?
Look forward to this Friday evening. There's somebody. He was here for the first year. Oh, man.
I know that I should have got one when
President. Yes, like they said, here. No, it's not. Not a truck at all. I'm working on my we're going to get an older. Not truck at all.
The other day, feeling I'm going to the doctor.
I'm still young man. Continue to good health. Well,
You need some type of.
might be trying to catch up.
It's like
Yeah. Okay, you can come down. I know. The doctors can keep you very busy. Really keep you busy.
the person you get to the doctor is saying, what's the next time?
Let me get that.
At least give me a lead time. What prescription do you use?
Right.
I know.
Ayeka, page Kuf Dalet. One of the strongest bakashas in a person's life is, we've been learning about, is to find that nakuda that responds to the question of ayaka within oneself. But man's greatest problem is looking for that in all the wrong places. Looking for that in all the wrong places. And sometimes waking up, as we spoke about last Erev Shabbos, sometimes waking up after an entire lifetime of deluding oneself that the I and that need for chayfish, for chayrus, for ayaka is to be found in things of this world. That goes back to the snake and to Gan Eden Mikedim, as everything in our life goes back to that, and our avoid in this is to be masakin, the whole tachlis of our lives. So on page Kuf Daled, Be'emes Kol Zeh U'Mabar Chitzoni V'Shitchi Ma'od V'Arei Daim L'Adam, looking for the answer to the question of Ayeka in things of this world. He says, "His Daim L'Adam, this can be compared to a person Sha'ochel Ma'acholim Te'imum Hamazikim L'Biyusa." I don't know if anybody can relate to this. Eating food that is unhealthy. Eating food that's unhealthy. That in Seichel, it's a crazy thing. Seichel, it's a crazy thing. It's a big business. In Seichel, it's a crazy thing. Tokshu Parik is all harayfim sheziru mikah. And it's one thing if you eat a lot of potato chips and stuff when you're a kid, but you're already an older person. And every single study and every single doctor has told you that you have to be careful. Imagine saying to the doctor's a good person, and he or she is trying to help you out and recommend a proper diet for a person your matzav in life, and your taina to the doctor is, I don't think it's nice of you to mess with my freedom. I don't know, So why did you come to me? No, my wife told me I have to come. Every guy says that to the doctor. So my wife told me I have to come to the doctor for checking. The doctor says, you can't eat this stuff anymore. And you're very, very insulted. How can you do such a thing? A person, like we used to say when we were kids, America's a free country. Remember that? America's a free country. So it's a free country. So my father, I remember that. So finally, at some point, he went to the doctor, and the doctor told him about that he, there's certain things that he shouldn't eat, this, that, whatever, kugel on Shabbos or something. And my father said that there was a time in my life where I couldn't eat anything. I always wanted to have something to eat, and now finally they let me eat, and now the doctor tells me I can't eat. So it used to be the Germans didn't give me to eat, and now I'm able to eat, and the doctor says I can't eat. He was laughing about it. So how can you take away my chayros? How can you take away my freedom? The doctor's response to that is, Mr. So-and-so, I'm trying to give you, I'm trying to help you to be free to live. I want you to be free to live. That's when you'll be It's the same thing the person says, that the Shabbos is cutting into my freedom. This mitzvah is in my way. So Akash Baruch Hu is the doctor. So I'm giving you this mitzvah. I'm giving you life. The mantichya. This is all the mantichya. And I'm telling you it's a v'charta v'chaim. The person says, v'charta v'chaim, I feel like this is, I'm enjoying my freedom, and now you're taking away my freedom. It's a simple mashal. V'yedla rasein taiva nekudosis iveris. This, to be able to the doctor is telling you to control this taiva, this blind taiva that you have. So when it comes to health, the way that you're eating, a person smoking, or whatever it is that's unhealthy. It could be that smoking the cigarette gives you a moment's pleasure. I never understood how people enjoy that, but a moment, you might get a pleasure for whatever that Indian is of smoking a cigarette or other stuff, to smoke something, or that drink, whatever it gives you for a moment. But you know that it's destroying you, it's destroying your life. Same thing when it comes to giving freedom to one's Yetzer Hara and believing and deluding oneself to think that this is what it means to be myself. It means to be myself is to be able to indulge in those things that are killing me. The truth is, the same way when it comes to the food, which is the opposite of your teva, that food is against your teva. The teva of your body is to work properly, at least whatever that age is and whatever. That's the teva of your body, is to work properly, and the kinds of stuff that you're eating is keneged the teva of your body. And your body is screaming out, "What are you doing?" It's keneged the teva of your body. So you're halach neged teva, and people will continue to do that on and on and on, even though it's so dangerous, and it's keneged the teva, to have that taiva, to be able to enjoy that moment. Halachu neged tivai. And mazikul nafsha. The same way in the marshal, it's damaging your body. This aveira is damaging your nefesh. The ruchel and nishmasa. Your nefesh, ruch and neshama are being attacked by this aveira. By what you're looking at, by what you're thinking about, by what you're doing. That's not allowed according to the Torah. That's not allowed. It's or not doing what you're supposed to be doing, which means to eat Yiddishkeit in a healthy way, and that there should be a good diet of learning and of davening and of mitzvahs and masim tovim. Umetzamek is chiyusa. You're shrinking. You're shrinking the life of. You're constricting the life of the nefesh ruach and neshama. V'kachu mashiv es chai b'roivet ha'shetchi v'chitzoni bli lisvadeh al kol ha'merchavim ha'amukim ha'tmunim b'oimek havayis adam. And in this way, by doing this, you are living your life just in a very, very shallow and superficial way, satisfying something which is very superficial, without lisvadeh. Without lisvadeh means meeting up with, farbringing with, all the merchav ma'amukim, all the depths that are tmunim b'omek havayis adam, that are hidden deep within you, without experiencing those in your life, to go your entire life. The greatest thing you could ever think back on was some meat board that you had in in Puerto Rico or something. I don't know. That was your experience. Well, so shir kamosa hamitis. You never sat together with the sod shir kamosa hamitis, with the true greatness of who you are. You never experienced that at all. Yes, okay. And besides that, in addition to that, you become enslaved. You become addicted to taivas chumiyas, to physical taivas. Until your mom is addicted. Mochor means to be addicted. In addition to that, when a person thinks that his entire happiness and freedom is going to be found in b'merchav hagashmi, the things of this world, the gashmias. He falls into a terrible, terrible enslavement, a terrible shibud. Shekein ha'olam hagashmi yakar ma'od, because the world is a very, very expensive place. Olam hagashmi, the physical world, is yakar ma'od. And every pleasure that you take of this world, from this world, has a price tag, has a price that you pay for it. Not just dollars and cents. There's a price to be paid for everything in this world that one indulges in. The Chavis Lavavas, all tzaddikim talk about this. Everything that a person, again, not talking about the way the tzaddik oichel is the way to eat, and the whole avoid of achila, for instance, in kedusha, that's something else. That's avodas Hashem. We're talking about just taivas, old-fashioned, indulging. Every pleasure that a person indulges in physical things in this world comes with a price tag, and has a price. So when it comes to the person that's eating in an unhealthy way, the price is obvious. When it comes to other things, it's not always as obvious. But if a person thinks about each of the taivas that's pulling him in an honest way, and at a time when he has some yeshiva das, Shabbos, Yom Kippur, whatever it is, to think about it, cheshbon nefesh, his bodedus, to think about what is the price tag. What is the price tag of this? What's the price tag? If a person, it's today's this is probably the shortest Shabbos, the earliest Shabbos of the year. Because when you get closer to Hanukkah, this you see it starts earlier because of the Ibiyah. So Hanukkah is always when the days start to get longer, right? It's the Indian of the Nitzachon of Or. The Maral says Or begins to defeat Choshech, Hanukkah time. Those the days, the light of the day becomes longer because Hanukkah is the victory of light over darkness. So at the time of Hanukkah, the light of the day becomes longer, the nights begin to get shorter again. Because it's the victory of Or over Choshech. So that we're now is the longest. There's the earliest Shabbos of the year. There's the earliest Shabbos of the year. So what's going to be like at 9 o'clock? Shliffen. That's it. There's a person could have 4 or 5 hours of good learning. And if you're more of a morning person, so go to sleep earlier, and you can get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm not talking to the girls. You have to. If you like, that's okay. But talk a little bit now to the guys. But to the type of sleep is also a type of this world, and it also comes with a price tag. It comes with a price tag. What is the hefsid? What's the schar? What do you stand to gain by another hour or two in lying in bed, as opposed to an hour or two of the sweetest Shabbos of the whole year, or the winter Shabbos? What a person can gain from the Avodah Friday night, from the Leil Shabbos. The whole year we have a few of these Shabbos. It's a Leil Shabbos. And a person could spend time with the family, and be able to everything benachas and yeshiva das, and to have quiet, and to sit and to open up the sefer that you wanted to look at the whole time you want to look at the sefer. And you don't have to have the pressure. You have to learn this, you have to learn that, and to enjoy, and to have a Leil Shabbos, and to sing the Zmiros benachas and everything. It should be beautiful. So to go to bed, to lie in bed. There's a Sfadish Talmid Chacham that I knew, and he used to always say, "Yelech hazman lishon." You know, the Sfad, they'll have plenty of time to sleep. You know, I remember Rabbi Ben Chaim said that once. He said he was talking to a guy that comes late to shul, and he says, "It's hard for me. I need to sleep more." And he told him, "You're going to have plenty of time to sleep. You're talking about when you're dead." I wasn't talking about next week. He said, "You have plenty of time to sleep. You have plenty of time to sleep." But sleep is a big time. And it's an interesting thing. Anytime you have a conversation with somebody who sleeps excessively, they'll always say something like, "That's what I need." Because that's what happens. The Yetzer Hara tells you that the taiva is something that you need. Now, it's true that a person should have a certain amount of sleep and should have a healthy life. Okay, whatever that is. People think, I'm not saying everybody, everybody knows the Rambam says, and they like to bring the Rambam over here. The Rambam wasn't the masmid, the Rambam, I have to have my 8 hours of sleep. Everybody's different. I'm not saying there's no klal in this Indian. But if you're a healthy person and you think that you need 8 hours of sleep, most likely you're just about taiva. Sorry. So it's a big taiva, sleeping. If you plan on doing affairs during the day, it's better than to sleep. In other words, it's a better taiva than the other taiva. It's just stay there. You can stay the whole day. If you have other taivas, it's better to just stay in bed. But if you're about mitzvahs and you have a life that you want to live, what are you going to spend? How much time in your whole life? You spend a third of your life or something, you spend sleeping in bed. It's a taiva like other taivas. And because it doesn't involve any aveira, so it seems like it's such a harmless thing. But again, you become addicted to it like anything else. And it has there's a price that you're paying for that taiva, like any taiva. What happens with any addiction is that your feeling of happiness or yeshiva das depends on something else outside of yourself. That's a very scary thing. If your well-being depends on smoking a joint, so now I'm hearing more and more and more that there are adults, married people with kids that smoke pot. I don't care if it's legal or if it's not legal. This has become now a form of recreation. To sit around, a grown person sitting around smoking pot. And also you have all the arguments how this is. I heard that the Baal Shem Tov used to also smoke. All these people say things I wouldn't believe, and this helps me with my avodah. This is I found that there's something that comes. All this is all the diburim of the other side. You're Baal Taiva. Just Rachel Bidcha Tana. It's from the parasha, right? Rachel Bidcha Tana. You're Baal Taiva. So don't make a whole Torah over your smoking pot. This is like some deep Indian, and it helps you become more ruchniistic, and you're a better father and you're a better husband. Yes. Do that without smoking. And it's not. Who said it's unhealthy? Drinking is less. You have these conversations. Drinking is worse than smoking pot. It's much, much worse than smoking pot. All the Balei Torah, they have these arguments. Narishkeit. These arguments. You're addicted to something. Finish. It's not good for you. You want and if you want to get high, so let him look at them around or something. But that's not the way for a Jew to depend on something outside of himself. That's just your osher, your happiness in life, it depends on something outside of who you are. It's not coming from inside of you. Your happiness is depending on something outside of you. That's scary. First of all, you have to be able to afford that. Second of all, at the end of the day, like we're learning, it'll never ever bring you to a place of Aisha, of true Aisha. It can't, because it's outside of you. It's the same when it comes to relationships. There are people who their relationships are very unhealthy, with a husband and wife, even with friends. There's a certain neediness that the friendship or that marriage is supposed to answer something that the marriage wasn't created for. Again, you have all the romantic stories and how through marriage you find the other half of who you are. The Zohar Kodesh says that half of you is, and they both were together in Shemayim, and now you come into this world and all the Sheva Brachas story you like. all the Sheva Brachas, if you depend upon your husband for happiness, and you depend upon your wife for who you are, you're Baal Taiva. And that comes out in many, many ways. Many, many ways, much of which I wouldn't talk about, but you become a Baal Taiva. Because at the end of the day, the Simchas HaNefesh comes from Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama. That doesn't mean that the kesher of husband and wife isn't important. It doesn't mean the kesher with children isn't important, but you could become addicted to those things as well. You could become addicted to those things as well, and even your relationships are unhealthy. And they come with a certain kind of a neediness, with a certain kind of addiction. I was talking a few weeks ago to a newlywed couple that they're having a lot of problems. I don't know if it's going to work. They're having a lot of problems. And she said, listen to this lesson that the Kala said. She said, I'm trying to get the exact nusach, she said this. So I was asking, well, there are times that you're happy. Do you find are there good times that you're happy with each other? I was trying to see where they're holding. So she said, he will sometimes try to make me happy. Listen how she said it. He will sometimes try to make me happy because if I'm happy, that makes him feel happy. In other words, she said, it's not because he cares about me, or about my happiness, and he's trying to be misameach me. It's because he's such a tzibroch in a person that he's trying to find his happiness through me. That's what she was saying. It's a lamdisha thing that she said, but she's very hurt. Even, he's depending upon her for his happiness, and she's a kli. It's not because she feels it's not because he loves me and he wants me to be happy, and he's ready to do anything to make me happy. He wants to be happy. He wants to be happy, and the only way he can find his happiness is by doing something that will make me happy with him, so that he'll feel happy. That was the svar, and he didn't argue with it. He didn't argue with it. They were sitting there together. He didn't argue with it. And he said, this has been a problem. He was saying, there's been a problem that I've had my whole life. So even that, even in a relationship, it could be your schnorr, your baltaiva. But it's very confusing because this looks like the most important and noble and beautiful thing on earth. And of course it has all of that to it. But that can also be a way of avoiding the question of Hashem and Gan Eden, Ayaka. Where are you? Who are you? You can still be avoiding it. And it's much more confusing than smoking or drinking, obviously. It's an Indian that relationship, kesher. It's very, very confusing. But the bottom line is, Sharak Bemtzu, Sam Yuchal Kabbalas Muvukash or Hafizi. That only by getting this from outside of yourself can you satisfy this physical or even emotional pleasure. But it's something outside of you. You're depending upon her to be happy. You're depending upon someone else to make you happy. And then, if that person doesn't make you happy, lost. Right? But you're depending upon someone else. Your happiness is not from inside of you. It's not nefesh ruach neshama. It's not be'etzem. From the nefesh lakis. The happiness depends upon somebody making you happy. And if that person, God forbid, is not here anymore, finished. There's no way to move on with life. There's no way I'll never be happy the rest of my life. I can't be happy. Because your entire simchas chaim is something that comes outside of you, not inside of you. It's only when it comes from within you that nobody can take it. No one can take away something that's from inside of you. That they can't take away from you. That's yours. You have bias over it. No one can go there. That's off limits. No one can go there. And no one can take it away from you. Like Rav Mendel Furtefas when he said that I'm a Yid, that's why I'm happy, because you can't take it away from me, when he was with all the Russian prisoners. And then, you're all miserable because you were once a banker, now you're a prisoner. You were once a general, now you're a prisoner. So Rav Mendel Furtefas said, I also was once wealthy, and I was also once successful, and all of that was taken from me. But why am I happy? Because I'm like the Yid, because I'm still a Jew, and I'm a chassid, and that you can't take away from me. That I'm a Yid and I'm a chassid. The Russians can't take that away. The Germans can't take it away. The Russians can't take it away. That nobody can take away from you. Anything else can be taken from us. You have the deepest, most beautiful relationship on earth. You knew your wife since you were in 6th grade. You were dating or something, and you have the most romantic relationship and everything. All that can be taken. Chas v'shalom, can be taken away in a minute. And then you're left with ayeka. You sit there by yourself in the room, and the shiva is finished, and everybody's gone. And you have a couple of pictures. You have pictures around the house of when you were young, and when you from your chasna, and when you went together to Eretz Yisrael, by the Kaisel picture, and now you're by yourself, and she's not here anymore, or he's not here anymore. And then what is there? It's a scary thing that people prefer not to think about. And then there's that voice that comes to you in that place. It's not Gan Eden, it's Gehenna. And the voice is Ayeka. It's the same question. You. So this person is driven to push himself more and more and more money, make more money, because the money, that's his happiness. To have more money, that's going to make him happy, because then he's going to be able to buy this and to have that and so on and so forth. And again, he'll also be malbish, this way I can take care of my children. It always comes with these kind of things. Like more noble, because he doesn't want to say I'm just a chazer. So he always makes it like there's something I can give more tzedakah, I can take care of my kids, and all this stuff, but pushing and pushing and pushing for more money, or maimad, and more prestige, to have covet. But again, these are all things that are outside of you. Because the money is outside of you, and all the covet comes from outside. You just want to be able to get. You want to use the money, and you want to use your power to influence to be able to get what you want. Believing that's going to give you the simcha that you're looking for. So we see, and we know, that the world is a very expensive place. And anything you take from this world, enjoy it, but it comes with a price. The koshel hasaga. It's expensive, it's yakar, and it's hard to get. It's a world that yesh bo tacharus umerdaf. It's a world of fierce competition. Everything, everybody's fighting and competing over every pruta, is fighting and competition. That's why when the idea of communism came to the world, it had tremendous appeal. It's a very powerful taiva, and the belief was that if somehow through this, that union of competition for money and ownership, if somehow that will end, then I will be besimcha. The communism itself became its own, a different kind of a taiva, which has caused millions and millions and millions of people to get killed and all kinds of tsaris in the world. It's still tsaris. It's still tsaris. But the idea is very, very, I won't have to, everybody will get the same thing. There won't be any more competition. So that person no longer has to fight for every pruta, but that doesn't mean that he's finding his own existence. Other communism took away the person's own existence. It became the commune, became the tzibur, became the tzibur. A person loses himself, mamish. He forgets who he is. The loss of self, complete disappearance of the self is what communism brought to the world. And you have that with people, even wonderful, good people that mean well, that they always have to be out there. And they go, I'm going to I'm getting every day like a whole bunch of these requests. Hey, don't you want to come speak to come to our place and come talk here? I say, no, I don't want to. I love you. Maybe a different time. I want to see my grandchildren. So, it's not because I am doing a couple of things, but it's not because I don't think that like Torah is not important. I get these. You wouldn't believe these things. I get like these arguments. I say, I think I've proven that I believe that Torah is not important. I mean, I have a long record of trying to teach Torah. I'm doing it my whole life. I mean, before I was even married, I was trying to do it. But the tachlis of my going there is to be able to go over the parasha with my grandchildren, and especially young people don't get that at all, because it has to be always something. The commune. As you get older, you begin to realize that time is going by, and you need to commune with yourself, and you need to commune with your kids, with your grandchildren, and you need to commune with your husband, with your wife, and with the ikkas, the bayarlim, to commune. But young people, not. It's like, where are we going? What are we doing? It's there are different taivas, and when the taivas are come dressed in all kinds of ruchnis, dicker things, with all kinds of, that it comes like with a beard and payas, and it comes like it's like a frumazach, and what's the matter? You don't want to verbring, and all these things. You have to. It's a person who has to be honest with himself and with herself, and to know that even when it comes to ruchnis, there are many distractions. One has to be careful. When it comes to ruchnis, it could be very tricky. It's not like having a drink or a smoke. Because what could be wrong with verbranking, and what could be wrong, and they can go the other way. Of course, you have to also go. It's to find that balance. It doesn't mean chasam the person should retreat and go to a cave, and that's also not an answer. To try and to daven Hashem, you should help to be able to find some place that nakuda where you're able to. Yachad and Yachid, Yachad, Biyachad, and Yachid, to be everywhere, and to be able to sit quietly at some corner by the kaisel and to be away, and that's an avodah that comes with getting older. Usually, there are some young people that they get that. Most of the young people don't get that. Now, what's young nowadays changes all the time. It's 40, 45, 50, depending on. As I get older, it becomes younger. Older, the age becomes older. But to understand, to have havana of that, to understand that, to feel that, to look for that in your own life, and for a young person to be able to aspire to this, and quiet, and what that means. So even the vacations that people take is vacations and everybody needs to have vacation. Everybody needs to have menucha. But what's the tachlis of that? Is it to come to yourself? Is it to just indulge in something else outside of yourself? Nofesh, it could be chofesh. Vacation can add to one's chofesh the feeling of if it's used as a time to come to oneself, not as a time to run away from oneself. It's like that with everything in life, and to find that balance. Because if you're not careful, when your freedom depends upon something physical, something outside yourself, or even something emotional, but outside yourself, hareshu nasa eved. You become an eved. You become a slave. L'chol hagormim hamagbilim shabarlam. L'chol hagormim hamagbilim shabarlam. To all of those things in this world that are so limited, that are so finite and small and limited, and you become an eved. You become an eved. And to bring all of this deeper inside of ourselves, Rav Sassoon's going to bring us a Torah from Rav Kook, page Kufay. Because as I said, this entire sefer, really all of Rav Sassoon's teachings are the shorish is very, very, very deep in Rav Kook's, of course, in the Zohar Kodesh and the Kisvei and the Sfarim HaKadoshim and so on. But Rav Kook is the Nekudat Pnimis. V'navin, page Kufay. Shema chayfesh amiti toli b'tanai merubim kolkach. That if one's true freedom depends upon all these different conditions and all different things in the world, whatever in life, ein ze chofesh v'lo. It's not chofesh. It's not really freedom. It's not happiness. Chofesh amiti u chofesh molei. True chofesh is chofesh molei, complete. Shemeshachver es adam mikol gorem chitzoni lo. True chofesh is only a chofesh that frees you. That frees you from all external shibudim, from all external circumstances, causes, and so on. And only a freedom that makes it clear to you that the oisher, that your happiness can only be found ba'atzmo, within yourself, from within yourself. The chaim ha'atzmiyim. In Hasidus, you see in Chabad Hasidus especially, you see that there are three madregas. There are three types of Jews. There are chitzoniim, there are pnimiyim, and there are atzmiyim. Chitzoniim, pnimiyim, and atzmiyim. Three kinds of Jews. So what's the difference between pnimiyim and atzmiyim? That's what we're learning about. But chitzoniim, pnimiyim, and atzmiyim. Atzmiyim. That's what Rav Kook is talking about. It's totally achrak ba'atzm b'chaim ha'atzmiyim shenimtzoyim b'seicha pnima. V'loshna Rav Kook, and in the Oris HaKodesh Ched Gimel, Rav Kook says the following: Hayidiyah sheha'odam b'his galuso b'tor ba'rotzon. This understanding that a person, when a person is able to be megala, his ratzon, his will, what he wants, oifyav mishtalim kula b'nekudas v'tzoyne davke, that his entire being will be mishtalim, will be perfected, or will be made whole, and so on. B'nekudas v'tzoyne davke, with the nekuda of his ratzon davke, ha'isha shalahu ratzon toiv, that his happiness depends on ratzon toiv. Kol karvei ha'osher, or kol kivui ha'osher, that one's entire hope for happiness and haslachas harememus and success and so on, shalev kol adam kol kach erg lahem, which the heart of a person so desperately wants, to want good things, and to be matzliach with what you want, and to find happiness with what you want. Einem kim toldois min nekudas chaim mileim zu, nekudas haratzon hatoiv hakodesh v'abahir. Your happiness, your fulfillment, and your hatzlacha can only come in a true way Rav Kook says, when that Nekudas HaRatzon HaTov HaKodesh VaHabahir, when the true Ratzon, that is holy and that is pure, when that true Ratzon is fulfilled, when the true Ratzon is fulfilled, one's happiness does depend on Ratzon. And Ratzon is the highest part of a person. Ratzon comes from Kesef, Amunah, Einig, and Ratzon comes from the highest part of who we are. And Rav Kook says, and that's the only way you'll find Hatzlacha, is by getting what you want. Through your Ratzon, that's the road to Hatzlacha. The road to Simcha is by what you want. But Rav Kook is saying, but it has to be a Ratzon HaTov HaKadosh VaHabayir. But it all depends what you want. What is it that you want? And in this way, man resembles God. Most resembles Hashem. As we spoke about last week, that the meaning of Tzelem Elokim is to have free choice. It means to choose what you want. The Yotzer Kol, to the creator of everything. Hashem's will is completely free of anything outside himself. There's nothing that's pressuring Hashem to do something he doesn't want. Doesn't. He is the Baal HaRatzon. Bilti Bal Tachlis, the Baal HaRatzon. And in that way, a human being is most like Hashem. There's no other creature in the world that can do that. That can actually get what he wants. What do you mean? No, every animal, the animal catches the other animal. You got what he wanted. And when you got the building you wanted to get instead of your competition, you got the building, you outbid your competition, you got what you wanted. But of course, the answer to that is that it's not what you wanted. That's what you thought you wanted. The animal's happy because that's all it could want. The person that his whole life is the money, the business, or something that's not a yid. So he got what he wanted, and that's all he wants, and that's it. He's done. So whatever measure of happiness he could have with that. Because happiness does depend on getting what you want, or fighting for what you want. Happiness depends on that. We were looking at this morning. When this becomes clear to you, that only through living a life where you're connected to that Ratzon, that true Ratzon, HaTov, HaKadosh, VaHabahir. Bahir means clear, that this is what I want. Miyad moitzei adam es atzmo molei chedva. The person finds himself filled with simcha. Again, even if he hasn't reached where he would like to reach within himself, but he's molei chedva because he's working for what he wants. He's working to get what he wants. Mesulak mikol atzvus. He's mesulak mikol atzvus. There's no sadness. Finished. Sadness comes with dependency. Sadness comes with dependency on something outside yourself, which you're not in control of. This person is mesulak mikol atzvus, Rav Kook says. He understands he doesn't need anybody else or anything else. All he needs to do is to strengthen his Ratzon. To be mechazik la'amei, strengthen Ritzon l'tov, his Ratzon for good, to do good things. Learning, davening, mitzvahs, masim tov, whatever it is, to do good things. Zamosher biyado, and that's in his hands. And if you're someplace, and God forbid, and you're locked up somewhere, and they don't give you any svarim, so then you go to that place, whatever you remember inside of your head, and you review. You review, the first pasuk in Lech Lecha 1,000 times, and go into it as much. But you're free. That's up to you. No one can. That's Moshe B'Yoda. Wanting the right thing is up to you. That's Moshe B'Yoda b'kol eis v'rega. B'kol eis v'rega. Every moment. That's up to you. But take of kishir reciting masala, and when the Ratzon becomes stronger, the Ratzon hatov HaKadosh VaHabahir, when it becomes stronger, hayihu masala. It lifts you up. V'chol ha-sfiras ha-ilamias, and all of the spheres, hatluyas bo, mis'alas imo, and all that depends on who you are, and all worlds that are connected to you, are lifted up together with you. Together, just to translate, together with that, with your strengthening your ratzon, which is keser, Mimela, you're lifting up. You're lifting up. You're lifting up everything. The crown, keser, is your ratzon, your will. What you want. Ratzon, kaddish, toiv, habahir. And by lifting up that part of yourself that's called keser, the crown, Mimela, everything else inside of you is lifted up. And therefore there's no atzmus, there's no sadness, there's only simcha. How could this person not be filled all the time with ois, with strength and chedva and joy? In toivus hatoivus, oisha hashirus. This person's rotzen and this person's life is all about toivus hatoivus, the good of all good. Oisha hashirus, not a couple of dollars. Oisha hashirus, the wealth of all wealth, the wealth that no one can take away from you. The wealth that no one's fighting over in you, it's your own. Hatzlochas are hatzlochas. It's the hatzlocha of all hatzlochas. That when Yosef Tzaddik was misgaber and he didn't do the aveira, he was an ish masliach, because that hatzlocha is from within himself. Everybody else would say, "What a loser! What a loser! You got the most beautiful woman in the world is interested in you, and you run away from her. What a loser!" Right? That would be in the world. That would be the biggest loser. And the Torah says, "Ish masliach." Yosef Tzaddik is ish masliach because he didn't sell himself. He stayed with his rotzen. With son shochni sneh. He stayed with the rotzen. With his rotzen, which is hatzlochas hatzlochas. Hatzlochas hatzlochas. So you might have some guy that's walking around as a billionaire, and he bought a street in Manhattan yesterday, and he's some kind of big billionaire, and you could introduce him to some little yidel someplace from some who has a basement somewhere in Meah Sharem, and the Simcha Sachaim, if you try to compare this guy's Simcha and this guy's Simcha, and this guy barely could afford to have a knedel in his soup tonight, and this guy owns all the knedlach in the world, and who's happy? Who's masliach? So this guy is a billionaire, so he's nish masliach. He looks at this poor guy. I have to help him out. I'm going to give him a knedel for Shabbos. And this guy is the one that's not masliach. The emes is that guy is much bigger Baal Hatzlacha than the other guy. Doesn't mean to say the billionaire can't be a Baal Hatzlacha. It's just much harder for him. Because there are so many other things that he depends on for he's got all this stuff. But this other person, he's an ish masliach. Mosor v'nosim biyada. That's what Rav Kook says. Because your hatzlacha, this person's hatzlacha, his wealth, and all the time that he has in his life is nosim biyada. It's up to his ratzon. That no one can take from you. Your ratzon, no one can take that from you. It doesn't depend on the weather. You're supposed to have the big Memorial Day barbecue and baseball game. Can't believe it's raining. I can't believe they're predicting rain. And you're on the weather reports the whole week looking to see what's going to be. Are we going to be able to have the ball game? It's a miserable life. It's a miserable life because you depend upon the weather. Your life depends on the weather. Or you're looking forward to something else in life that wasn't up to you. Weather is the most obvious thing, like what do you? But it's not up to you. But your ratzon is up to you. That has nothing to do with the weather. There's nothing to do with Republicans or Democrats. It's totally up to you, your ratzon. Nosim biyada. V'moishe b'kol hamachmanim hanifloim ha'atzurim v'oitz nechmad v'shamein zeh. And you are in control of all of the treasures that are to be found, that are hidden in this beautiful, beautiful oitzer nechmad v'shamein zeh. This rich, this fat, and rich oitzer treasure that's inside of you. This thought that happiness depends on something which is outside of man's abilities, outside of his kaiches. That's what happened. We learned that Torah from Rav Kook's Talmud from Yaakov Moshe Chalap. around 6 weeks ago. That's what it means listening to the snake instead of listening to yourself. The snake means something outside yourself. And that something outside yourself is saying, I have something for you that will make you happy. That's how it all began. I mean, that's how it all ended. But that's where the end began, with listening to the snake. The snake is outside of you. The snake is telling you, I have something to give you, and if you don't have this, you're not going to be happy. If you take what I have, my schayr will make you happy. If you don't get this schayr, you're not going to be happy. You're not going to be happy. So you come home, it's Erev Shabbos, and you had some food delivery, and they sent you, instead of potato kugel, they sent you lakshan kugel, and you hate lakshan kugel. And it's a short day. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? How am I going to fix this? What if I don't have my if I don't have my potato kugel? It's chutz lahaviyascha. Whatever it is, from silly to important, it's outside of you. Rav Kook says, anything like this, listen to the lashon he uses. Any thought, this thought, that your simcha is going to come from outside of you, he says, machsheves pigulhu. Pigul is like, bringing something to the Beis Hamikdash you're not supposed to have. Pigul means something in your head, the head of a Jew, the neshama of a person is a very holy place. And having something that's from outside is pigul. It's disgusting. Pigul. Rishus. Look what he calls it. Such rishus. V'sichlus. It's rishus. Not telling you, it's not being a Russia to somebody else. It's a rishus to yourself. That's what the rishus is here. Doesn't mean you're not a nice guy. You're Russia to yourself. Al tihi Russia b'fnei atzmecha. You're Russia to yourself. That's the rishus. It's a rishus. It's such a word that he uses. It's evil. V'sichlus. Rishus v'sichlus hi mirupedes. Sichlus means, of course, foolishness. Rupedes means like when something is padded or it has a cushion. He says it's a phony. It's a fake. It's padded and cushioned. It looks like it's something which is, but it's really pigul and rishus and sichlus. And this thought that your simcha is going to come outside of yourself, it's ma'ira, it awakens all of the lowest tchunas, all the lowest things in a person, because you could want things that are very, very bad. And you think that your simcha depends on things that are very, very bad. All midas arose, all the worst midas. Why are you angry? Angry because you didn't get what you wanted. That's why you're angry. What's the person angry? I want it like this, and it's not like that, so he's angry. All midas haros should be side harisha, that are at the foundation of all evil. So he says that this particular time of your life, of what you want, and you didn't get, and you're disappointed, might not be such a vicious. But this Indian of needing something from the outside and believing that your simcha sacham depends on something outside of you, Rav Kook says, be careful. It's the yesod harisha. This is the foundation of all evil, because it's then there are those who only if I have what that person has, then I will be happy. Only if I have the territory that other country has, then we'll be happy. It keeps on going, but it's the yesod of all rishes. Something that's not inside of you, and that runs for something that is the beginning. That's the yesod of all vicious, of all the evil. It begins with being a Russia. It begins with being a Russia to yourself, but the end of it can turn out horrible midas, screaming at people, carrying on, and then in the worst, killing, destroying. It's the yesod of all vicious. It's where all vicious comes from. Shikchas Hashem v'tuva means forgetting Hashem and his kindness and his love, because you didn't get what you wanted, so you're angry at Hashem too, and you lose faith in Hashem. This happens all the time. Because I wanted this, Hashem didn't give it to me. So, goodbye, done. It's the side of vicious. Inside of you there is Hashem, and a person that ruts to connect HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not something that depends on whether you got this or you didn't get it. But how many people? This happens to so many people that if it's not working out there that I want, then I don't like Hashem anymore. I don't believe in Him anymore, because Hashem is supposed to give you something from outside of yourself. But He's inside of you, and He's there all the time. But you wanted something from outside, and He didn't give it to you. So then there's no Hashem anymore. Or Yisha, the light of Hashem, the Yisha. The Yisha is the salvation of Hashem. Chachmasa, Chazdo, Gerosa. It's forgetting everything. Forgetting Hashem's light, forgetting Hashem, all the issues that you have in your life, you forget because you dafka want this, so you forget how many times Hashem took care of you. All your life He's taking care of you. And this thing didn't work out, so you wanted this and you didn't get it. Chachmas, Chachmasa, Chazdo, Gerosa. You forget all that Hashem is. How can therefore? Yishrei Lev, those whose hearts are straight. Those Balei Ratzon, who have a Ratzon that is Tov and Kodosh and Bahir, whose hearts have not been made crooked by their addictions to things outside. Smechim Tamid. Smechim Tamid. They're always b'simcha. Smechim Tamid. The most delightful thing is being in the presence of such a person. It's the most wonderful thing, knowing people like that, meeting people like that. Smechim Tamid. Smechim Tamid. Their simcha didn't depend upon whether you said Good Shabbos with a big enough smile, you know? There are people like that. There are people, they like that. They didn't get enough of it. I didn't feel that I got enough of a Good Shabbos. First time, someone's talking about with the mechutin and chetainis. People have all kinds of inyanim. Like that you're depending upon somebody saying Good Shabbos to you. They didn't say Good Shabbos, or they said it, but they didn't say it the right way. They weren't happy enough when they said Good Shabbos. Why do you say a bigger Good Shabbos to the other guy, not to me like that? This is all going to be happening tonight. All over the world. All over the world. Insufficient Good Shabboses. Incomplete Good Shabboses. And angry Jews. Coming home, and then what happens? The wife doesn't know why he's ungeblues and why he's in a bad mood. He's in a bad mood, he's upset. So if he's enough of a fool, he'll tell her, because Yankel didn't say such a Hatziga Good Shabbos, and maybe he's upset with me, and I know why he didn't say such a Hatziga Good Shabbos. But mostly, if he's a little bit of a mature person, he won't say anything, he'll just be upset and be annoyed. From what? From an incomplete, insufficient, unhappy, not enough of a Good Shabbos. It wasn't the Kamala Harris Good Shabbos. Kamala Harris Good Shabbos. That's a Good Shabbos. Filled with joy, filled with excitement and life. He didn't get that kind of a Good Shabbos. The guy just said, Shabbos. We walked right past him. Didn't get a Good Shabbos at all. Can't believe it. And here you have it. Shabbos, Pashas V'Yetz, Tavshin Pehes, once in your life. It's a gewaldige time. Shabbos. No good. Didn't say Good Shabbos. Well, how could it be? The Gabbai forgot that I have a yahrzeit this week. I told him on Wednesday I have a yahrzeit. He didn't call me up for an aliyah. No Shabbos. Or you thought, I haven't done for the Yom already in almost 5 days, and I'm a big chazan. I'm a Gilgal of Yosel Rosenblatt, and I'm supposed to be davening for the Yom, and they didn't give you the Yom. It's like Shabbos is not finished. No Shabbos. And Hashem's about saying, I gave you Shabbos, Pashas V'Yetz, Tavshin Pei. It's the biggest Shabbos in your life. I gave to you, and because they didn't ask you to daven, they didn't give you an aliyah, they didn't say Good Shabbos. Whatever else the Indian is, this is just silly examples because we're in that life. And then what did you lose? You lost Mamish, Shabbos, Pashas V'Yetz, Tavshin Pei. Lost. For what? That's expensive price of this world. This world has a price tag, and even though you can make a whole thing that it's a mitzvah for another Jew to say Good Shabbos. What kind of a person doesn't say Good Shabbos? Or what kind of person says Good Shabbos half-heartedly? I give everybody a heart to Good Shabbos. He gives me a half heart. So what kind of a Good Shabbos? Then you can have all kinds of ruchnius things. It says in the Zohar, you're supposed to say Shabbat Shalom. He didn't say Shabbat Shalom. You can say all kinds of fancy things, but the bottom line is you're about taiva. You're taiva for Good Shabbos. You depended upon this guy to smile at you and give you Good Shabbos. You're about taiva. It's better than other taivas again, but it's still about taiva, and it still can have the impact on making you miserable and your wife and kids miserable. You didn't get the compliment that you wanted. Someone didn't say, They didn't announce at the dinner that you were one of the people who spearheaded this event. You know how these lashinas spearheaded the event. Spearhead is something that kills a person, but you didn't spearhead this event, and you're sitting the whole time. I'm the spearheader. I'm the spearheader. And they're saying, we want to thank Basya, we want to thank Devairi, we want to thank Racheli, and then you're waiting for them to say, and of course, the one who spearheaded the entire event is Sarah. And the lady just finishes the speech, and there was no spearhead. There was nothing. Not even your name. Forget about spearheading. Nothing. You didn't spearhead. You didn't do anything. Oh boy. Finished. You can't even eat the kiwi that they put on your plate. Which anyway, why would anybody? But you can't even eat the kiwi because you didn't hear, because that was your taiva. And again, it's not a bad taiva. It's a covered taiva, but it can destroy it. It takes away everything. That's what Rav Kook said. It's the aside, it's the foundation of all riches. Of all riches. To look, to have a rotten for something that could only be satisfied by a voice outside of you. That's the snake. And you have to tell yourself, when these kind of things happen, and you're starting to feel a little bit that Inyan inside of you, say, this is the nachash, this is the nachash. It's the voice of the snake. I'm not listening to you. It's the voice of the snake. My great-great-great-great-grandfather made a big mistake. I'm not doing that again. I'm not listening to you. That's the voice of the snake. Okay, Yisrael Smechim Tamid. Those are the happiest people. They're a pleasure to be with. These are the people you want to be next to, you want to be with, because it's a pleasure. They're always the Simcha Tamid. Simchu Basham. Why? Because there's Simchas Basham. And the Simcha Basham, no one can take it away from you. That's what Mendel Fortavach was saying to all the Russian prisoners. My Simchas Basham. That doesn't depend on Russians, doesn't depend on the Tsar, doesn't depend on anything. Simcha Basham. V'gilut tzadikim v'haninu kol yishrei lev. And these are the tzadikim that are filled with joy. Kol yishrei lev. Kol yishrei lev means a heart that is straight, a heart that is honest, a heart that is looking, that is filled with ratzon. But the ratzon is a ratzon pnimi, a ratzon that's within the person himself. That is called yishrei lev. And yishrei lev, simcha. We can say in davening in a few hours. Yishrei ayahava Hashem sinara. Yishrei lev simcha. Those who have this midah of yishrei lev, their life is always a life that's filled with simcha. We should be zaychim in Hashem to have lives that are filled with this simcha. Shabbos.